Hi folks, I'm Mark Allen, BH Spring Solutions LLC, bhspringsolutions.com, and it's July 4th, 2021. It is the 6th year birthday anniversary of BH Spring Solutions, and even more importantly, it is the 245th birthday of America. And all the celebrations of this day, July 4th, are rooted in history. It's recorded that shortly after the Declaration of Independence was signed in Independence Hall in Philadelphia, celebrations took place throughout this land. Many firing off cannons, parades down the streets, and a short time earlier was a scene in Independence Hall. 56 men came forward to sign a document, and it was noted at the time that they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honors. And this was not just rhetoric. Each of them knew the penalty for high treason to the crown. And Benjamin Franklin said, "We must all stand together, or surely we will all hang separately." We learned that John Hancock signed his name so big that because he wanted King George to be able to read it without his glasses. They were brave, and they stayed brave through all the bloodshed of the coming years, and their courage created a nation built on a universal claim to dignity, on the idea that every man, woman, and child hold a right to a future of freedom. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We've all heard those words, and in this past year, it is I believe a great hope of every American that the efforts of the past year and a quarter to stop a virus that certainly, when it's lethal, stops the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our ancestors were ones of millions who came here in search of the dream of freedom. Inaugurated in Independence Hall, we reflect today on their courage in traveling great distances to settle in a foreign land and passing on to their children, their children's children, the hope that we see as a symbol in our Statue of Liberty, the hope that is America. It is a hope that someday every people in every nation of the world will know the blessings and the fruits of liberty, and it is a hope. It is a hope of millions all around the world. Today, the people serving in our military, I am privileged to say that these young people following in the footsteps of their fathers and forefathers are just as brave, and we should be just as proud. And it's important for us to be brave too, and not so much bravery on the battlefield. I mean the bravery that is called brotherhood. All throughout our history, our leaders have spoken of national unity, and they warned us that the real obstacle to broadening the boundaries of freedom, and the only permanent danger to the hope that is America, comes from within. And possibly part of that danger is our failure to understand that with each and every right comes a duty. Freedom is not free, and it never has been, and it never is going to be for any of us. There's a truth that I've learned that if I have the freedom to become the person I was meant to be, then I also have an obligation to become the person that I was meant to be. And many of these things that I'm saying, I know seem like very familiar words, but two of our founders, about this subject of national unity, two of our founders learned this lesson themselves, and they learned it late in life, and that would be two of the signers of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, both who went on to become presidents of our country. And in 1800, after a bitter and divisive political campaign, John Adams left office the night before Thomas Jefferson's inauguration. It is recorded that he left bitter and defeated and brokenhearted. And John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, who had worked so closely in Philadelphia, remained estranged from each other and not speaking to each other until they were somewhere in their retirement years. And in their retirement years, they began corresponding and communicating in letters. And they discussed everything from gardening to religion to the loss of loved ones to grief and sorrow, and their long-term hopes for the country that they had risked everything for, and I believe they both loved so dearly. And it's worth noting that exactly 50 years to the day after John Adams and Thomas Jefferson had signed the Declaration of Independence, both men died within hours of each other, exactly 50 years later on July 4th. It falls to us today and in the future to keep the faith with them and all the great Americans of our past. The things that unite us, America's past, of which we are so proud, our hopes and aspirations for the future of the world and this much beloved country. These things far outweigh what little divides us. And today is the day that we reaffirm that regardless of color, regardless of religion, regardless of background, that we are one nation under God. We are one nation, indivisible, and we are all Americans. On July 4th, we pledge ourselves to each other and the cause of human freedom, a cause that is the thing that gave light to this land and hope to the world. My friends, we are known around the world as confident and happy people. And there is so much to celebrate this July 4th, and so much to be thankful for. So while it's good to talk about serious things, it's just as important and just as American to have fun. And that's what we're making this day, is a day of a lot of fun, and we hope that you are too. 6 years ago today, my partner and I, Slav Barucci, have turned on BH Spring Solutions for the first time on July 4th, 2015. And it was no coincidence that we had chosen July 4th. We realized at that time that we were setting about to do some things that that the original manufacturers of certain legacy firearms of history either had chosen not to do, or were unwilling to do, or couldn't see their way clear to do, and so we decided to embark on doing those things. And 6 years later, and thousands of friendships later with our customers that we know as BH veterans, And my partner and I could not be more proud for all of our friends, for all of the BH veterans. We could not have more gratitude, I don't think, and all of this together is extremely, extremely humbling. And so on this day, July 4th, we also stop and we say thank you to all of you who have believed in us, all of you who have supported us and encouraged us. I want to say one last thing, and that is there is room today, I think, in all of our lives to up the brotherhood with those around us. And that means that, and what I specifically mean is with people who are not like us. People of different backgrounds, people who have different varying beliefs. We cannot forget that a short time after the Declaration of Independence was signed and the government was formed, something entered the picture called partisan politics. And George Washington, in his farewell address, warned us that if there ever became a time when the political parties are running the country, that would be the point, that our country would be at great risk and we'd be at risk of losing our country. And I think we're kind of there. And there's room for all of us to up the brotherhood, and I mean certainly directly with those who don't see the subject of the right to self-defense maybe the same as we do, or we have differences of opinion about religion or a lot of other things. The encouragement that I would encourage everyone with today is remember John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, who when they were in the heat of it and when they were in the thick of it, brotherhood with each other was impossible to see, apparently. And that lesson they gave us by, again, restoring that friendship and, talking about things in their letters like a sneeze being a cure for hiccups. They gave us a gift to keep a lot of these things, and a lot of these things that we are juiced by with the media, in the proper perspective, and to keep these things in check. We are tied by our history. We have so much more in common than we have by a few little things that sometimes divide us. So with that, thank you very much for listening. Happy July 4th. We wish you a blast. We wish you an incredible amount of fun today and tonight. And I'm Mark Allen, BH Spring Solutions LLC and bhspringsolutions.com.